The video titled How I Made $10,000 a month on Airbnb without owning property has millions of views. Jube seen it. Jube probably clicked on it. For the last 5 years, the algorithm fed us a steady diet of a specific fantasy. It told us that the days of the 9 to 5 were over. It told us that the path to financial freedom was simple. Buy a house. Put some IKEA furniture in it. Take some wide-angle photos. List it on an app. And then, just wait for the money to hit your bank account while you sleep. They called it passive income. They called it the new American dream. Thousands of regular people listened. They leveraged their life savings. They took out second mortgages. They bought cabins in the woods and condos in the city, convinced they were savvy real estate investors. They were promised a gold rush. But they forgot to check if there was any gold left in the mine. Now, the silence is deafening. Open the app right now. Look at the calendar of a random listing in a popular tourist town. You won't see a wall of booked dates. You will see empty white squares. Day after day. Week after week. The passive income stream has dried up. And the panic is setting in. We are witnessing the end of an era. The Airbnbust isn't just a catchy headline. It is a massive correction in the housing market that is wiping out the amateur landlord class. And the scary part? It was entirely predictable. Go back to 2021. The world was reopening. Everyone was desperate to travel. Interest rates were at historic lows. Money was practically free. It seemed like you couldn't lose. If you bought a property in Joshua Tree or Austin or the Smoky Mountains, you could charge $500 a night. It felt like printing money. So, everyone became a hotelier. The supply of short-term rentals didn't just grow, it exploded. In some markets, the number of listings doubled in 18 months. Everyone with a garage apartment or a vacation home threw it on the market. This is where the math breaks. The number of travelers is finite. The number of houses is theoretically infinite. We've reached a saturation point that defies logic. In some neighborhoods, there are now more short-term rentals than there are actual long-term residents. Suddenly, you aren't competing with the Hilton downtown. You are competing with your neighbor, and the guy across the street, and the 3 new condos built next door. To get a booking, you have to lower your price. Then your neighbor lowers his. It's a race to the bottom. But your costs aren't going down. In fact, they are skyrocketing. This is the second phase of the collapse. The guest experience broke. We all remember when Airbnb was the cool, cheap alternative to a hotel. It felt authentic. Now, it feels like a chore. You pay a $200 cleaning fee, and the host still leaves you a laminated list of instructions. Strip the bed. Start the dishwasher. Take out the trash. Don't set the AC below 72. The cultural mood shifted. Travelers got tired of paying luxury prices for a worse experience. They looked at the total price, realized a hotel was actually cheaper, included breakfast, and, crucially, didn't make you do your own laundry. The demand began to flow back to traditional hospitality. This left the amateur hosts holding the bag. And this bag is heavy. Remember, most of these new hosts are not wealthy tycoons. They are regular people who bought at the peak of the market. They bought a house for $500, that is only worth $400, today. They took out a variable rate mortgage, or a DSCR loan that relies on rental income to pay the debt. They ran their spreadsheets assuming an 80% occupancy rate. They are currently sitting at 40%. The math doesn't just look bad, it looks insolvent. They are bleeding cash every single month. They try to pivot. They think, I'll just turn it into a long-term rental. But they can't. They bought the house at such an inflated price that the rent from a normal tenant won't cover the mortgage. They are trapped. And then, the final hammer dropped. The government woke up. For years, cities ignored the problem. But when nurses, teachers, and firefighters could no longer afford to live in the cities they served because every starter home had been turned into a vacation rental, the political wind changed. New York City banned thousands of listings overnight. Barcelona is wiping them out entirely. Changes in tax codes in places like Canada and the UK are making the business model illegal or unprofitable. The passive income dream is being legislated out of existence. So, what happens next? We are already seeing the for sale signs. The investors who got in late are trying to get out early. But who is going to buy a fully furnished, overpriced house in a saturated market with high interest rates? We are watching a slow-motion liquidation event. These homes, which were hoarding housing supply, are about to flood back onto the market. This sounds like good news for home buyers. And it might be. But for the people who bet their retirement on the Airbnb method, it is a tragedy. They fell for a trap that is as old as capitalism itself. They confused a temporary market anomaly for a permanent reality. They thought they were geniuses, but they were just lucky beneficiaries of cheap debt and a travel bubble. Now, the bubble has popped. The cleaners aren't coming. The guests aren't booking. The bank is calling. The housing market is about to remember what houses are actually for. They aren't yield-generating assets. They aren't ATMs. They are places for people to live. The great definancialization of the American home has begun. The only question left is simple. When the dust settles, and the amateur landlords are washed out, will you finally be able to afford a home, or will the giant corporations just swoop in and buy the wreckage?